You're watching Golden Boot TV. I'm here with Birmingham manager Gary Rowett. So Gary, during your first season at Birmingham as manager, you took the club from 21st place to 10th place in the Championship. How did you manage to turn that around?
I think the biggest thing originally was to change the atmosphere, to change the environment, if you like. I think before, we'd obviously had a run of games where they weren't winning games, particularly at home. I think they'd won one game in 26 at home. So I think just try to change the mindset and have a fresh start. Really worked. Clear, defined way of playing in a clear, defined way of working. It just gave the players the ability just to concentrate on their jobs. And I think we drew the first game, won the first home game. That seemed to give everybody a lift in terms of the whole club and the players. And I think it snowballed from there.
And what did you do to boost the confidence of the players?
I think really just reset the goals, if you like. I think it's always important when you're a new manager coming in to be pretty clear on the ground rules of what you want to achieve. Pretty clear on how you want to play. We found a very clear formation, a very clear way of playing that allowed the players to get on the pitch and play with freedom and not worry about all of that. Little things like the players were after 60 minutes were losing a lot of games between 60 minutes and 90 minutes, so just increasing their fitness, maybe saving a little bit of energy in terms of the way they played as well. But having a bit of fun with them, I think that was one of the things as well, just lighten the mood a little bit, make it realise that it's not the be all and end all, and they can play and enjoy playing. And that was probably the main factor.
And going back to 2011, when you were with Burton Albion, they finished 17th in League Two, and you came in the next season with no experience as a manager, and they finished 4th place. And so how did you manage to do that?
I think it's always interesting. I think I've been coaching for about 8 years before that, various roles, and I think you learn little bits all the time. I think as an assistant manager, I think it's always the same. You have to obviously put a clear, defined way of doing things that the manager wants. At the time, Paul Pescasolido, which I had a great time working with. And then I think when you get the opportunity yourself, you then just tweak things around what you've learned. And I think one of the big things for us, particularly in League Two, was be very clear on how we wanted to play. Not complicate it too much, but be very good at the basics of the game, and perhaps recruit around that as well. I think we needed to change things there, and we changed things around, brought quite a lot of players in that first summer, and finished in the playoffs, as you rightly said, and then we had to change it around again the next summer because we'd learned from that first season, tried to improve on what we'd done, and we ended up in the playoff final. So some good progression.
And in 2014, you had the chance to take the Blackpool job. Why didn't you take it?
Good question. I think at the time, the stories coming out of there were, there's no real training ground, no real training facilities. I went to speak to the chairman there at the time. There felt to me like not a clear structure of what they wanted. And I think as a manager, you always have to be sensible enough to realise whether a job can be turned around or not. And I think you've seen the evidence since it probably was a very difficult one for anybody to turn around. So I just felt it wasn't the right opportunity at the time. And so therefore decided to wait to see if something else came.
Fair enough. And do you think Birmingham will get promoted this season?
I think it's going to be. I think we're still in with a chance. I think that's the one thing we always said. I said at the start of the season that I wanted us to be still in and around the playoffs with 10 games to go. I felt that would be progression, and then after that, who knows what will happen? It's up to us to try and make it happen. And with 9 games to go, we've got a game in hand. And if we win that game in hand, we'd only be 3 points off the playoffs. So we're still very much in the race. Whether we can take the extra step, it's very difficult for me to say. I think we're capable of doing it. Whether the players at this moment in time are ready or can make the next jump, we'll only know after the next 9 games. But we're certainly going to enjoy it and try to really sort of embrace the challenge of it.
Yeah, and obviously Aston Villa have had an awful season. Would you quite fancy staying in the Championship just so that you can play them?
I think the fans would enjoy that. I think already some of the fans are torn between can we get up and then come down. I think they'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
And I think some of the fans would also be quite happy with some local derbies. We played in the Capital One Cup earlier in the season, so it was a fantastic experience and a great atmosphere on the night. I thought we were very unlucky not to win that game in the end. And certainly those type of games are ones that you'd look forward to. Ideally, we wouldn't be in the same division if they go down, which means we've been promoted. But if we are, I'm sure it'll add an extra spice to next season's games.
Yeah, that'd be good. If you could manage any team in the world, who would it be?
I got asked this question about 2 months ago, and I think, I don't want to make it sound like I'm unambitious, but I think everyone goes for the Real Madrid and Barcelona. I'm going to go for Sydney FC.
Okay.
Just because I'm thinking about the afternoon sat on the beach, watching the surf, taking it easy. So
nice.
yeah, I think I'm going to go for Sydney FC as my dream job. If I've actually got to work and put some effort into it, then I'll probably, I don't know, it's very difficult. I'm going to have to give that some thought and come back
Sydney
to it.
FC. Because when I was sitting there thinking of my questions to ask you, I was thinking, he's going to say Real Madrid or Barcelona, and he's gone Sydney.
I've gone Sydney. I've been to Avalon. I've been to Northern Beaches. I've experienced it out there. It's unbelievable. You know, it's got to be the greatest place in the world to live. So I'm going to do that as a life experience rather than the usual ambitious one.
So how long should the fans wait until we should be expecting you there?
Well, yeah, maybe till the end of the season. No, probably another 5 or 6 years. Maybe another 10 years. I think I've got an awful lot to try and achieve first. I'm not saying if Barcelona or Real Madrid comes along, I'm going to turn those jobs down, of course. But
yeah.
No, I think it's it's a great place. And I think football. I came into football with a view of it's about experiencing things as well. You know, it's not just about winning things. That's great. That's what we all want to do. That's a standard, easy answer. But it's also about experiencing things for your family, different ways of football work in different cultures, which I think is important for any manager or coach to grow and become better.
Definitely. And what's been your biggest challenge yet as a manager?
Biggest challenge? I think the balance is always the biggest challenge for me. I felt as though my biggest challenge would have been to deal with championship players as opposed to League Two players, but I found that's been very, very seamless really. I think if you treat people properly, treat them like human beings, how you'd expect to be treated with a bit of respect, then you get it back. So I don't think that's been an issue. I think it's the balance all the time. I think it's the working. All managers, you're so desperate for success for your team that you put a lot of hours in, and I think it's always that balance of trying to get a little bit of time away from football to retain your focus and to allow you to review what you've done rather than when you're so immersed in it all the time. It's very difficult sometimes to think clearly.
Yeah. And what's been the most memorable moment of your career so far?
Most memorable? Wow. I would probably say, there's so many different little points, but I'd probably say leading Burton out at Wembley. The chairman spoke to me when I first got the job, and he said it was always his dream because they'd been to Wembley before in the FA Trophy, I think some number of years before that, and he had a spell where he wasn't the chairman. He had a little gap and he wasn't there then. I think he might have gone as a fan, but he wasn't invited, and his dream had always been to take Burton to Wembley. So it was quite nice because he was a good guy. He was a good guy, Ben, and to be able to take him back to Wembley. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, which probably the best experience and the worst experience all rolled into one. So it was encapsulated in that day.
And what do you prefer, playing for Birmingham or managing them?
Oh wow! I actually think managing. I think managing. I hear a lot of players say that playing you never get the same experience when you manage as you did when you played. I think it's a different experience. I think it's a more wholesome experience. I probably enjoy more in some ways because as a player you turn up, play, you become very selfish, very sort of ego-driven. But it's about the team, but it's also about your own performances. I think as a manager you have to think so much about it, and when you win, it really means even more to you when you win. So I'd probably say managing.
And as such a young manager, are there any managers that you look up to?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of managers I look up to. I don't think there's any one manager that I would ring and phone if I've got a problem or anything like that. I haven't really got a sort of a manager that I'd class as a little bit of a mentor for me or anything like that. But I think there's lots of I think you always look to successful managers, and you always look to see how they do it. I think most managers to a certain degree are plagiarists, you know, they'll copy and they'll mimic and they'll look at ways that teams play and they'll take little bits for themselves and use it. So I think there's probably not too many managers. I think people, you look at man management skills, and I worked under Jim Smith, and Jim was brilliant. You know, Jim, you'd go in raging at him because he'd drop you and you'd come out laughing and you couldn't work out quite how he'd done it. Yeah. But he was brilliant at that. So I would say someone like Jim would be someone who I'd look up to, as someone who I enjoyed working with.
And have you ever had a pre-match ritual as a player, as a manager, and what's the weirdest one that you've ever seen?
Well, I look at my office at the training ground, and on every Friday, there seems, I don't know if someone's planted it there or it's a dummy, but there's one magpie who sits on a fence outside, and it's starting to really get on my nerves. Often his mate comes along and there's two, and I'm okay. And I'm really not superstitious, but there's part of me when that one magpie comes, I don't know whether magpie classed as vermin because I'm very close to shooting it with a shotgun, which I probably shouldn't say live. So I would say, for some reason, I seem to be obsessed with magpies on the way to games. If I see two, I think that means we're going to win, which seems ridiculous, doesn't it? Really. I've not seen too many really, really bad. I've seen some players that, you know, they'll put their left sock on first and they'll put their, and you think, what are you doing? It really doesn't make any difference. So, no, I'd say the magpie one's about my only real superstition at the moment.
Superstition, not a ritual.
Ritual. Oh, did you say ritual?
Yeah, but same thing.
Ah, that's same thing, isn't it?
Same thing. You know, you're meant to salute magpies.
Oh, is that what you're meant to do? No, that's what I'm going wrong. I might try that now.
I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, you really?
I see a magpie, I'll salute
Do you really?
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
No.
So I heard one manager used to drive around to the game, used to keep driving until he saw two magpies. If you saw one, he'd just keep driving.
They're all dirty sometimes.
Exactly, yeah, you would.
Crazy.
Birmingham.